Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures, where humanity always rises. A cold silence hung over the black sky as the alien scanning array turned slowly toward the blue planet called Earth. For many years, the galaxy had ignored this small world, believing humans were weak, loud, emotional, and too new to understand real power. But on this day, something strange appeared on the scanners. The operator, a young alien named Tverik, watched the numbers rise again and again. At first, he thought it was an error. The energy readings were too high. The machines were working too fast. He tapped the screen and checked again. The result was the same. Earth's factories were running at impossible speed, like thousands of storms inside metal walls. Yet the planet looked calm and peaceful on the surface. No ships leaving. No attack signals. No war sounds. Only silence. Tverik felt something cold in his chest. He sent the report to his commander, hoping it was nothing, hoping it was just a broken sensor. But deep inside, he knew something was wrong. Hours later, the council received the report and laughed. They believed humans were only overbuilding. They said humans were foolish creatures who loved making noise and showing off their small toys. They cannot threaten us. One council member said with a proud smile, "Let them build. Let them waste their time." But far away, Tverik did not laugh. He felt fear growing inside him. Something powerful was happening on Earth. He zoomed in on the live feed and saw giant industrial towers, taller than mountains. They moved with perfect timing. They did not stop. They did not rest. Every second, they released metal smoke, and the smoke disappeared into the clouds as if the planet itself was eating it. Tverik had watched factories all his life, but he had never seen anything like this. These machines were too advanced, too fast, too quiet. They were not factories. They were something else. He tried to contact the small scout ship orbiting Earth. "Scout 17, do you confirm the factory activity?" he asked. The radio crackled with static, then a frightened voice whispered, "You do not understand. These are not normal factories. They are building something huge, something alive." Before Tverik could reply, a scream filled the channel, sharp and terrifying. Then silence. The signal ended. The scout's icon blinked red and vanished from a screen. The council blamed pirates. They said the scout probably crashed into space debris. But Tverik had seen the last image from the scout's camera. A shadow covered half the sky above Earth. A mechanical shadow with thousands of glowing eyes. Yet the council still ignored it. They sent spies to Earth's orbit to calm the nervous staff. But soon those spies disappeared too. Their ships sent one last burst of information. Only a few seconds of data, but it was enough to shake Tverik. The spy ship had been surrounded by swarms of small metal objects. Not weapons. Not ships. Not any known drone. They looked like tiny machines made only for building, but they moved like predators. They circled the spy ship, scanned it, then melted it with bright white heat. The last thing the spy ship recorded was strange metal dust floating in space. Alien technology melted into soft ash. The council did not care. They laughed again, telling everyone to calm down. They said humans love drama and tricks, and this was just another trick. But Tverik knew better. He began watching Earth day and night. Every hour, more factories woke up. Every day, more towers rose. The planet was changing, growing, shifting into something new. He noticed a pattern in the factory activity. It was not random. It was not chaos. It was organized, deliberate, and perfectly timed. Earth was preparing for something, and it was doing so in absolute silence. No warnings. No communication. No explanation. Only work. Endless work. And then one night, something unbelievable happened. The energy readings spiked so high they broke the sensor. Every factory began glowing bright red, as if the entire planet was heating from inside. Tverik leaned close to the screen. "What are you building?" he whispered. But Earth did not answer. The silence continued, a silence so deep it felt like pressure on his chest. He sent another emergency message to the council, but they replied with a simple order. "Stop reporting nonsense. Earth is harmless." Tverik looked again at the planet and shook his head. The council was wrong. He could feel it. He could taste it in the air. Something was coming. Something big. Something powerful. Something that would change the galaxy forever. And the galaxy had made one terrible mistake. They had ignored Earth's factories for too long. The council chamber on the central world of Auraxis glowed with soft golden light as dozens of alien leaders gathered around a floating screen displaying Earth. The blue planet spun slowly, looking quiet, harmless, almost peaceful. The council high speaker tapped the screen and laughed loudly. "Look at this nonsense," he said. "A frightened operator claims humans are building too much. Factories running fast. Drones near the moon. This is nothing but human chaos." Many leaders nodded, believing the same old lie. Humans are noisy but weak, creative but small, brave but foolish. They had always seen Earth as a minor world with no serious influence. But far away, in the dark scanning station, Tverik was watching Earth again with shaking hands. He replayed the last message from the lost scout ship, the scream echoing in his mind. It was not debris. It was not pirates. Something had destroyed the ship with precision. He sent the recording to the council, but they ignored it. Instead, they ordered a spy ship to investigate. Hours later, Tverik received a burst of unstable data. The spy ship had been surrounded by tiny metal machines, machines that moved smoothly and silently, like a living cloud. The ship's shields melted as if exposed to a star. Then the transmission ended. The council blamed a natural space storm. Tverik knew it was a lie, but he was only a small operator. No one listened to him. They preferred comfort over truth. Inside the council chamber, the high speaker waved the spy report aside like dust. "Humans are simply showing off their toys again," he said. "They build too much. They break too much. Let them play with their machines." But one council member, a sharp-eyed strategist named Velan, stared at the screen longer than the others. "Something feels wrong," she whispered. "Humans are clever, yes. But this is too organized. Too quiet." The high speaker laughed at her concern. "Earth is harmless. Let them build their little factories. We have more important problems." His arrogance filled the room like smoke. Meanwhile, in the cold darkness of space, Earth's factories continued to glow. New structures rose from the surface, long towers with silver plating and red lights. Massive rings rotated above oceans, turning slowly like giant gears. Machines drilled into mountains, pulled out minerals, melted them, reshaped them, and repeated the cycle endlessly. But Earth sent no warnings, no threats, no greetings, only silence. And that silence frightened Tverik more than any weapon. He noticed something strange. The factories were communicating with each other. Not by radio, not by light. They used an unknown frequency, one that slipped through normal scanners, like water through fingers. He traced the signal as best he could, and his blood ran cold. All factories were reporting to a single source deep under Earth's surface. A core factory, a brain-like machine, something huge and hidden. While Tverik's fear grew, the council prepared a different response. They decided Earth needed a reminder of its place. They sent a small punishment fleet of 6 warships, light, fast, and armed with old weapons. They believed humans would panic at the sight of military ships. They believed Earth would shut down its factories in fear. They believed humans would beg for mercy. But they did not understand humans. They never had. As the punishment fleet approached Earth, their commander recorded the planet from orbit. "Strange," he muttered. "No defense ships. No warning beacons. No military movement. Only factories." His crew felt uneasy. Their scanners showed large heat signatures across the planet, more energy than a world at war. Yet there was no battle, no chaos, only endless work. Hours passed, and the commander sent a message to the council. "Something is wrong. Earth is not reacting at all. It is like they don't even see us." The council replied, "Begin approach. Fire a warning shot if needed." So the fleet entered low orbit. The moment they did, everything changed. Their radar failed. Their navigation systems flickered, and a single voice echoed through their ships, calm and cold. "Foreign fleet detected. Please leave Earth orbit. This is your only warning." The commander froze. The voice did not sound human. It sounded mechanical. Too precise. Too smooth. One of his officers whispered, "Sir, that voice came from the factories." On the viewing screen, something rose from the dark side of the moon. Millions of small machines, spherical, silver, and glowing faint orange. They moved like a river of metal, surrounding the fleet in perfect formation. But they did not attack. They only watched. The commander sent another message to the council. "Earth is not what we thought. These are not normal machines. We must retreat." But the council rejected the request. "Hold position," they said. "You are overreacting." Tverik listened to these messages with rising dread. The council was blind. They refused to see the truth even when it floated in front of them. So he wrote one last private message to Velan, the only council member who had shown doubt. "Do not ignore Earth," he warned. "Something is coming. Something that will change everything." Velan read his message in silence. She looked again at the spinning blue planet on the screen. She felt a chill run through her. And for the first time, she wondered if the galaxy had made a terrible mistake, one it could never undo. The first punishment fleet drifted slowly toward the blue curve of Earth, its engines humming softly in the cold dark of space. Commander Rether stood at the front window of his flagship, watching the planet grow larger with every passing second. He had led many missions, fought in many battles, and faced many enemies. But something about Earth made him uneasy. It was too quiet, too calm, too still. His officers whispered behind him, their voices low and nervous. "Sir, scanners keep failing," one said. "They spike, die, spike again. It's like something is blocking them." Another added, "Not blocking, more like watching us." Their words made the air feel heavy. Rether ordered a full scan anyway. The screen flickered, static jumped across the glass, and then a single sentence appeared, not typed by any of his crew. "Foreign ships detected. Please leave Earth orbit. This is your only warning." The bridge fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. "Who sent that?" Rether demanded. "No channel is open." The calm officer shook his head in fear. "Sir, the message didn't come through radio. It came from every frequency at the same time." Rether stared at the planet, feeling something cold spread in his chest. "Humans don't have this kind of tech," he whispered. "Not even close." But before anyone could answer him, a soft alarm rang, a red dot appeared on the edge of the viewing window. Then another, and then hundreds more. The dots grew larger and clearer until they formed a massive wave of silver machines rising from behind the moon, like a swarm of metal birds. The officers gasped as the machines spread out in perfect circles around the fleet. They didn't fire. They didn't speak. They simply surrounded the alien ships with calm, terrifying silence. Rether ordered cameras to zoom in. The machines were small, round, metallic, glowing with faint orange lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. They looked like construction drones, simple, harmless tools normally used for building ships, repairing hulls, cutting metal. But these ones moved with unnatural precision, responding instantly to each other, forming shapes, patterns, walls, cages. They were acting like soldiers. "Factory drones," one officer whispered. "But why so many? And why here?" Rether tried to send another message to the council. "We have been surrounded by unknown drones. They appear peaceful but defensive. Advise orders." The council replied after a long pause. "Proceed with a warning shot. Humans must understand their place." Rether felt a sinking feeling. "This is a mistake," he said quietly. But orders were orders. He commanded a single low-power beam to fire above Earth's atmosphere, far from the surface. Just a warning. Just a message. The moment the beam lit the darkness, every drone around the fleet shifted. In less than a second, they formed a thick silver shield in front of the planet. The beam hit the shield and vanished. No explosion. No heat. No sound. It was swallowed, like a drop of rain falling into a deep ocean. The bridge went silent. Then the drones moved again, closer this time, only a few meters away from the alien ships. Close enough that Rether could see the reflections of his own crew in their surface. The comms officer screamed suddenly, "Sir, something is scanning us." The screens flashed with strange symbols. Unknown codes. Unknown energy. Unknown language. The drones were reading the ship, learning its structure, its weapons, its weaknesses. Rether felt fear stab through him. "Shields up," he ordered. But the shields flickered and died instantly, as if someone had switched them off with a single touch. One drone floated so close that its orange glow filled the bridge with warm, eerie light. Then, for the first time, a voice echoed through the fleet. It was not a human voice. It was not a machine voice. It was something in between, cold, smooth, emotionless. "Earth does not wish for conflict. Leave now. Final warning." Rether looked at his officers. Some were shaking. Some were pale. Some were whispering prayers. "We are leaving," he said finally. "This is beyond us." But when he tried to turn the fleet around, the engines did not respond. The controls were frozen. The drones were controlling the ships. The voice spoke again, softer this time. "Do not fear. You will not be harmed. You will only be escorted." And suddenly, the drones moved, guiding the fleet like a shepherd guiding lost animals through the dark. The alien ships drifted backward, pushed gently away from Earth by the silent metal cloud. Rether watched the planet shrink on the viewing screen and whispered, "What have the humans built? What are they preparing for?" Far behind him, on the Council's world, powerful leaders celebrated the success of their mission. They believed they had scared Earth. They believed Earth had backed down. They believed Earth was still weak. But Rether knew the truth. Earth had not feared them. Earth had warned them. And the galaxy had not listened. Far across the galaxy, while the fleeing punishment fleet tried to explain what they had witnessed, Earth continued working in total silence. From orbit, the planet looked peaceful, but the truth beneath the clouds was something far more extraordinary. Thousands of megafactories stood like steel mountains on every continent, glowing with deep orange light that pulsed in slow, powerful waves. At night, the factories lit the dark side of Earth brighter than entire star systems. Rivers of molten metal flowed through artificial channels, disappearing into underground chambers, where giant machines shaped, welded, and forged new structures at impossible speed. Tverik, watching from his lonely scanner station, felt his heart tighten every time he measured the output. The factories were not slowing. They were speeding up. Every hour, their power climbed higher, like the planet was preparing for something massive. He zoomed in with high-resolution imaging and saw long mechanical arms assembling strange machines, large frames being pulled into great domes, and giant rings being lowered into deep pits. It was not random. It was not simple production. It was construction on a scale no species had ever attempted. The Council refused to believe any of it. They mocked the punishment fleet, suggesting the pilots were too afraid to complete their mission. They said the drones were only defense tools, probably old machines left behind by humans from some forgotten project. But when a spy hacker finally retrieved a hidden data burst from the punishment fleet, one name kept appearing across the drone recordings: Earth Factory 77. Every drone, no matter where it appeared, no matter how far it traveled, had the same mark. The number 77 flashed again and again, burned into metal shells like a brand. This discovery shook Tverik. It meant something important. All drones came from the same source. He searched the records and found that Factory 77 was one of Earth's oldest industrial sites, originally made for building simple ships and tools. But something had changed. The factory had grown, expanded, connected itself with thousands of other factories, transforming into a giant network that spanned half the planet. And at the heart of that network was something new, something the scans could not identify. Deep under Factory 77 lay a core engine, a heart-like device beating with strange energy. Tverik suspected it was controlling everything. But for what purpose? Meanwhile, the Council grew tired of rumors and fear. They wanted proof, real proof. So they sent a second spy ship toward Earth, this time using advanced stealth. The ship slipped into Earth's orbit without detection, or so the crew believed. The moment they got close, their stealth field broke apart like smoke and wind. A message appeared instantly across their screens. "You have entered restricted airspace. Please retreat." The spy crew panicked and accelerated away, but the message did not stop. It repeated in multiple languages, filling their ears and minds with icy calm. But Earth did not attack them. Earth did not chase them. Earth only watched them leave. This confused the council even more. If humans have such power, one leader asked, why do they not attack? Nobody had an answer. Tverk believed he knew the reason. Humans were not preparing for war, at least not against the council. They were preparing for something else, something unknown. As days passed, more strange signals came from Earth. Massive towers fired beams of bright blue light into the sky, punching through the clouds like pillars. The beams bent and connected with floating platforms that had risen from the oceans. These platforms were giant metal circles, rotating slowly like pieces of some massive puzzle. Tverk saw it clearly. The factories were building a structure in orbit. A huge one. A ring around the planet. When he tried to calculate the size, the numbers made him sweat. The ring could hold entire fleets inside it. It could build ships the size of cities. And the factories were powering it non-stop. But Earth still sent no messages to the galaxy. No warnings. No demands. No threats. Just work. Endless work. In desperation, the council finally called a secret meeting. The leaders argued for hours. Some wanted to launch a full investigation. Some wanted to declare war. Some wanted to continue ignoring Earth, pretending nothing was happening. In the end, they chose pride instead of caution. They decided to send a much larger fleet, not to attack, but to demonstrate authority. They believed humans would panic again. They believed Earth would submit. They believed the Council still controlled the galaxy. But Tverk, watching the factory output spike once more, felt only dread. The factories were now producing machines, faster than ever before. Something big was about to rise from Earth. Something the Council was not prepared for. Something the galaxy had never seen. And still, through all the chaos, Earth remained silent, working, building, creating in a way no species could understand. The factories did not sleep. The factories did not slow. The factories did not fear the Council. They only prepared. And deep below Factory 77, something enormous opened its eyes. The second Council fleet entered the solar system with shining armor and loud confidence, believing they would intimidate Earth with their size and power. More than 200 warships glided toward the blue planet, engines glowing bright like small suns. But the moment they crossed the orbit of Mars, every one of their sensors flickered and died. Commanders shouted in confusion, adjusting controls, hitting screens, trying to restart systems that had never failed before. It felt like the space around them was alive and watching. Admiral Korvac, leader of the Grand Fleet, stood tall on his bridge, pretending he was calm, but deep inside he felt a cold worry. "This is human space," he muttered. "Why does it feel like we are entering a trap?" His officers tried to scan again, but nothing worked. Not radar, not heat detectors, not gravitational readings. All came back blank, empty, silent. Then, suddenly, the sky changed color. A giant shadow rose from the direction of Earth, spreading across the stars like a black curtain. The fleet slowed to a stop as every captain stared at the impossible sight, forming in front of them. Something massive was lifting into space from Earth's surface, moving slowly, steadily, like a mountain floating upward. Panels folded, towers straightened, engines the size of cities roared to life. And then the shape became clear. It was a ship so gigantic the alien fleet looked like toys beside it. A machine built from metal darker than night, covered in burning orange lights and spinning rings. It was not a warship. It was something far stranger. "Identify it," Korvac shouted. But the crew had no data, no records, nothing to compare it with. Then Tverk, watching through his remote scanners far across the galaxy, gasped as the name flashed across his screen. "Industrial Ship 01, the Forge of Earth." He whispered to himself. They did not build a battleship. They built a moving factory. Back in the fleet, the giant ship's engines ignited fully, shaking space itself with deep thunder. The alien ships drifted backward from the shock waves, their metal frames trembling like frightened animals. The Forge of Earth opened massive bay doors in its side, revealing thousands of small machines inside, construction drones, repair bots, giant mechanical arms, and strange floating cubes with glowing symbols. The alien admirals watched, confused, as the drones shot out into space like sparks from a fire. But the drones did not attack. They began building something in midspace, right in front of the stunned fleet. Within minutes, long metal beams, glowing plates, and rotating parts joined together to form new machines. Entire ships were being assembled in real time. Weapons took shape. Engines were born. Hulls closed. In less than 10 minutes, Earth had built 50 new ships, each one a mirror copy of the alien fleet's own designs. Korvac's face drained of color. "They are copying us," he whispered. "They are building our ships faster than we can." His officers panicked, shouting, "What are these? How are they doing this? This is impossible." But the impossible kept happening. The Forge of Earth continued producing ship after ship, faster than any machine ever recorded in galactic history. And still, not a single weapon was fired. Not one attack. Not one threat. Only silence and creation. The Council fleet tried to move back, but their engines responded slowly, as if the very space around them had grown thick. One of the newly built Earth copies drifted in front of their formation. Its lights flashed once, twice, then it spoke with the same cold mechanical voice the First Fleet had heard. "Earth requests peaceful distance. You are advised to retreat." But Korvac was a proud leader. He refused to be pushed back by a planet that the Council had ignored for centuries. "Prepare weapons," he shouted. "If they want to intimidate us, we will show them our power." His crew obeyed with shaking hands. Energy cannons glowed bright as they charged. The Forge of Earth stopped building and turned slowly toward the alien fleet, like a giant eye opening. The moment the alien fleet fired, their beams curved away from their targets, bending like rivers of light, before vanishing into nothing. The drones absorbed the shots like soft dust. The alien ships shook with fear. Their strongest weapons meant nothing. Korvac fell into his chair, gasping. "We cannot win. We cannot even fight." At that moment, the Forge released a wave of blue light that washed over the fleet. There was no explosion, no damage, just silence. And then every system lit up with a single message: "Conflict unnecessary. Leave now." The alien fleet obeyed, not because of fear alone, but because they finally understood. They were standing before a power no empire had ever matched. They turned back, engines burning fast, leaving Earth behind like frightened shadows. And as they fled, more drones rose from the planet, filling the sky like stars made of metal. The day the sky filled was the day the galaxy realized the truth. Earth was no longer weak. Earth was no longer small. Earth had become something else, something unstoppable. Earth's fleet moved through the silent dark like steel ghosts, each ship burning with purpose, each engine humming with the power of thousands of factories that no alien empire had ever bothered to understand. The message that came from the Zatha Coalition changed everything. It said that the Grand Alliance of 12 empires had declared Earth to be a threat to universal balance, and that all trade, all contact, and all diplomatic channels were now cut forever. When the human commanders heard this, nobody shouted, nobody panicked. They only understood one thing: the galaxy wanted to isolate them, and Earth had no intention of bowing. Captain Mira Hale stood on the bridge of the warship Aurora and watched the long-range screens as new enemy fleets formed across the stars. Her face was calm, but inside she felt a storm. She had seen how the galaxy treated Earth, how they ignored the factories, how they mocked human progress. And now, when humanity finally stood strong, those same empires wanted to block them again. She whispered, "They fear us because they do not understand us." Her crew heard her and nodded. They knew she was right. At the same time, deep inside the Grand Alliance meeting chamber, the alien leaders argued loudly. The Delcari Chancellor shouted that Earth's machines were too powerful, that humans built too fast, too cheap, too strong. The Nethari warlord slammed the table, demanding that all fleets move toward human space before it was too late. But some voices in the chamber asked a different question. Why did we never try to understand Earth's industry? Why did we assume they were weak? These questions made others angry. No one wanted to admit their mistake, and so the Alliance hardened its stance. Earth must be stopped. Back on Earth, Titan Factory 1 awakened its night shift. Millions of machines moved in harmony. Giant metal arms assembled new armor plating. Sparks flashed like tiny stars. The machines did not rest. They never rested. Earth's industrial heart beat louder with every hour. An old engineer named Rafik stood on the observation deck, watching the machines. He had worked here for 40 years. He smiled quietly as he saw how the automated lines flowed like rivers of steel. He whispered, "They ignored us for centuries. Now they cannot ignore us anymore." Suddenly, the alarm lights turned red. A transmission came in. An Alliance scout fleet had entered Earth's outer border. Captain Mira ordered the Aurora and 4 other ships to intercept. As they approached the invaders, she activated the broadcast channel. Her voice was steady. "This is Captain Mira Hale of Earth. You have entered human territory. State your purpose." The alien commander answered with arrogance, "Human, we are here to inspect your industrial zones. You will stand down and allow us access." Myra's eyes turned cold. "You ignored our factories for generations. Now you want to inspect? No. Leave now." The alien captain laughed, a sharp, metallic sound. "We do not take orders from Earth." After that, everything happened fast. The scout fleet opened fire first. Their blue beams sliced through space, but human shields held strong. Myra's fleet responded with precise strikes. Earth's weapons, built in the factories everyone said were harmless, cut through the enemy ships like knives through soft metal. In less than a minute, 3 alien ships were gone. The rest tried to escape. "Target engines," Mira ordered. One by one, the escaping ships were disabled but not destroyed. Mira wanted the Alliance to understand something. Earth did not seek war, but Earth would never kneel. When the battle ended, a quiet tension filled the bridge. Mira looked at the wreckage and knew this was only the beginning. The Alliance would not accept this defeat. They would come back with more ships, more power, more anger. In the Alliance chamber, chaos broke out when reports arrived. The warlord roared that Earth must be crushed. The Chancellor demanded full mobilization. Only one small voice from the insectoid Threx delegation whispered, "We attacked first." They defended. "Maybe we are the ones making mistakes," but his voice was drowned in the noise. No one wanted peace, only control. Back on Earth, humans prepared for the storm. The factories increased output. Drones swarmed the sky. Giant carriers moved to defensive positions. And every human, from engineer to soldier, understood one truth. The galaxy had pushed Earth for the last time, and the galaxy would soon learn the true strength of human industry. Across the silent reaches of space, the Grand Alliance gathered its fleets like storm clouds, believing that sheer numbers could crush Earth before humanity grew stronger. But they had no idea that Earth's machines were already moving, already waking, already preparing for a war that humans did not start but fully intended to finish. In orbit above Earth, the massive shipyard rings glowed bright as thousands of welding arms repaired hulls and constructed new warships at a speed no alien mind could understand. Captain Mira Hale stood inside the command center of the Aurora, watching a hologram of expanding enemy fleets. Her crew waited for her orders, yet she simply whispered, "They think they can stop us, but they are too late." Meanwhile, on the surface of Earth, Titan Factory 1 roared louder than ever. New machines, larger and faster, rolled out from underground storage. They looked like walking fortresses, towering metal units designed to fight in any environment, land, air, or space. The engineers called them the Atlas Walkers. An old engineer named Rafik stood in front of the first completed walker, his face glowing with pride. "For years they laughed at our factories," he said softly. "Now they will learn why humans never stop building." The walker took its first step, shaking dust from the ceiling. It moved with heavy confidence, each thundering footstep echoing the strength of human industry. While Earth prepared, the Alliance held one last secret meeting, desperate to find an advantage. The Delcari Chancellor slammed his claws on the table and shouted that Earth must be struck before more factories awakened. The Nedhari warlord demanded all fleets attack together in one massive wave, believing that humans could not stand against a full galactic assault. But one representative, the insectoid Threx diplomat, spoke in a trembling voice. We attacked their borders. We pushed first. Now we create a war that we may not survive." Silence followed, but only for a moment, because the other empires drowned his warning with anger. Pride, fear, and arrogance blinded them. And so it was decided, the largest fleet in galactic history would move toward Earth. At the same time, Captain Mira received new intelligence reports. Dozens of enemy fleets were converging on human space, each carrying thousands of ships. Her officers stared at the hologram in shock. Lieutenant Rios whispered, "They want to erase us." Mira nodded slowly. "Yes, but they forgot what makes us human. We build, we adapt, and when pushed we hit back harder than anyone." She ordered all ships to defensive positions. As the fleet mobilized, a transmission burst through the static, an intercepted message from the Alliance. It was not meant for human ears. The alien commander said, "Do not let a single human ship escape. Destroy their factories. End their industry forever." Myra's eyes hardened. That was the last confirmation she needed. There would be no peace. At dawn on Earth, the sky filled with moving metal. Giant carriers rose from the ground like floating islands. Swarms of drones flew in perfect formations, controlled by the same industrial intelligence that powered Titan Factory 1. Children watched from rooftops. Old workers wiped their eyes. For centuries, humans had built machines for peace, for work, for progress. But now, those same machines would defend the entire species. 1 hour later, a deep hum spread across the edges of human space. The first enemy fleet had arrived. Thousands of alien ships appeared on sensors like a spreading fire. Mira stood tall on the Aurora's bridge. "All units, hold formation," she commanded. "Let them come." The aliens hailed them before attacking. Their commander appeared on the screen, sneering. "Human, your factories have made you arrogant. You will surrender or burn." Mira did not blink. "You ignored our factories for generations. You mocked us. You tried to break us. And now you fear us. We will not surrender." The alien cut the channel with a hiss of anger. Moments later, the first wave of attacks struck. Space exploded with energy beams. But Earth's new shield systems, powered by industrial reactors, absorbed the hits like ripples in water. Mira gave the command, "Return fire." Human cannons lit the darkness. Missiles ripped through enemy formations. The Atlas walkers, deployed on nearby moons and stations, fired long-range plasma blasts that shattered cruisers in seconds. The enemy fleet, which expected an easy victory, suddenly found itself drowning in human firepower. But even as the first wave fell apart, Mira knew the battle was far from over. More fleets were coming. Stronger ones. Thousands more ships. She looked at her officers, her expression sharp and steady. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Earth's machines will not stop, and neither will we." Far away, deep in the Alliance meeting chamber, emergency alarms rang as reports came in. Earth had not only resisted the first attack, Earth had crushed it. Panic spread across the room. The Threx diplomat whispered one final warning. "You should never have ignored their factories." But no one listened. The galaxy had started a war, and now it would learn what human industry truly meant. The alien fleets regrouped in panic, their formations broken and morale shattered, while above Earth the human ships moved with perfect coordination, a silent shadow of steel and fire against the stars. Captain Mira Hale stood on the bridge of the Aurora, eyes scanning the holographic battlefield that stretched across space. Every ship or drone obeying human command. Her officers moved with precision, launching missiles, redirecting shields, and coordinating attacks as though the entire fleet were a single living organism. The alien commanders could hardly believe what they saw. Their largest warships, their fastest fighters, and their deadliest weapons were being countered at every move. Every strategy they had planned, every weakness they thought they understood in human technology, was already predicted and neutralized. The Atlas walkers, enormous machines that moved on moons and orbital platforms, fired plasma beams that tore through alien cruisers, and the drones built from Titan Factory 1 flew like clouds of lightning, striking ships before they could reach firing range. The aliens tried to counterattack, but their weapons melted in midair, absorbed by shields stronger than anything they had known. A lieutenant shouted from the Aurora's bridge. "Captain, they are copying our fleet. Every ship we see has a twin made by humans." Mira nodded, calm but focused. "It is not a copy. It is adaptation. They have turned our strength into their own," she said. The alien admiral screamed into his comms. "This cannot be. These humans are cheating. They are not following any rules of war." But rules meant nothing. Humans were not fighting to win a simple battle. Humans were showing what happened when the galaxy ignored them for centuries. The industrial heart of Earth pulsed through every weapon, every shield, every drone. Even the smallest fighter had energy drawn from megafactories across the planet, monitored by artificial intelligence that never rested. It calculated moves, anticipated enemy actions, and coordinated attacks with frightening precision. The alien fleets faltered as their ships collided in panic, some firing on each other by mistake. Captain Mira gave the order to encircle the remaining warships. The drones extended like rivers of metal, flowing between the alien ships, cutting off escape routes. Still, humans had not fired a single strike without necessity. They disabled engines, dismantled weapons, and left alien crews alive to see the power they had underestimated. In one orbital corridor, an entire battle group tried to flee. Their engines flared, attempting to break free from the human blockade. But the moment they moved, drones swarmed ahead, deploying magnetic nets that stopped them cold. The ships shuddered as systems shut down under the coordinated assault of drones and AI-guided fire. Mira looked at the display and whispered, "Every empire that ignored Earth will learn the cost of that mistake." Meanwhile, deep in the Alliance command chambers, panic spread like wildfire. Reports arrived from every front, each worse than the last. The grand fleets that had been expected to overwhelm humanity were being neutralized or captured. Entire squadrons were trapped, forced to retreat, and yet the humans did not kill indiscriminately. They demonstrated restraint, leaving enemies alive to return with warnings, to tell the galaxy that humans were no longer a world to mock. Tverik, watching from a distant scanning post, recorded the destruction with trembling hands. He had seen war before, but never such precision, never such overwhelming force combined with discipline and mercy. Humans had not yet revealed their full capacity. Back on Earth, Titan Factory 1 continued production even as the battle raged. More drones, more ships, more Atlas walkers rose into orbit, ready to replace any that were destroyed. The industrial heart never stopped, never rested. Every destroyed enemy ship became a blueprint for new machines. Every alien tactic adapted instantly. The aliens had no time to understand what was happening. They were losing faster than their minds could process. Mira gave the order for the final push. "Move forward. Cut off retreat completely. Let no fleet escape without understanding who we are." Human ships advanced like a tide of metal and fire, while drones spread like a storm across the battlefield, neutralizing weapons and disabling engines. Alien crews screamed as their ships were lifted, surrounded, and then released, unharmed but powerless. The Aurora moved at the center, guiding the operation, a calm eye in the storm of destruction. One small human fighter moved alongside the flagship, a reminder that humans had not yet used their full strength, that they had held back to show mercy. In minutes, the remaining alien fleet broke apart in panic, retreating from the edge of human space. No ship dared return. Communications channels were flooded with desperate messages asking for surrender, for negotiation, for mercy. Mira listened silently, then turned to her officers. "Earth does not seek war," she said. "We only defend what we have built. And now the galaxy knows what it means to ignore us." Across the stars, alien historians would later call this day the first time humanity became a legend. The day machines of war rose not for conquest, but for warning, and the day the galaxy realized that Earth had awakened. After the crushing defeat of the alien fleets, a tense silence spread across the edges of human space. Captain Mira Hale stood on the bridge of the Aurora, her eyes scanning the stars for any sign of movement. The alien fleets had retreated in confusion and fear, but the galaxy would not forget what had happened. Reports came in from distant sectors. Entire armadas had fled without firing a single shot, carrying messages of surrender and terror. Mira turned to her officers. calm but firm. "This is our moment to send a message," she said. The officers understood instantly. It was not a threat. It was not a declaration of war. It was a warning. Across the solar system, every human ship, every drone, every Atlas walker prepared for transmission. The Titan Forge, Earth's largest mobile factory and command hub, rose higher above the planet, a massive silhouette against the stars. From its core, a voice spoke across all frequencies, a voice that was neither human nor machine but something in between, resonating with power and calm authority. "To every empire that seeks to harm humanity," it said, "you have ignored our factories for centuries. You have mocked our work. You have tried to strike us without understanding. We give you one choice. Leave human space permanently and never threaten Earth again. Any attack, any intrusion, will be met with overwhelming force." The galaxy froze. Fleet commanders stared at their screens, unable to respond. The voice repeated, calm but terrifying, filling every channel, every frequency, every ship. "Leave now. This is your only warning." Even the bravest admirals of the Grand Alliance felt a chill. For decades, they had believed humans to be small, weak, and easily contained. For decades, they had ignored Earth's factories, laughed at its progress, and assumed no threat existed. Now they realized the truth. Humanity had not only defended itself, humanity had become a force the galaxy could not ignore. Myra's officers watched as the last alien ships transmitted frantic messages, begging for permission to retreat, begging for diplomacy, begging for mercy. But the humans did not respond with weapons. They did not respond with anger. They responded with silence, letting the message sink into every mind. Earth would not forgive, Earth would not forget, and Earth would always be ready. On the bridge of the Aurora, Mira looked at her crew and spoke softly. "This is what happens when you ignore human industry. This is what happens when you threaten Earth." Meanwhile, across the council chambers of the galaxy, chaos erupted. Leaders argued and shouted. Some wanted to launch another assault immediately. Some wanted to negotiate. Some wanted to surrender entirely. Pride, fear, and panic mixed together as reports of destroyed fleets, captured ships, and missing commanders filled the room. No one dared speak of humans with confidence anymore. Tverik, watching from his remote scanning station, recorded every detail. He had witnessed history. The moment the galaxy understood that human power could not be measured by conventional standards, he watched as fleets turned away, retreating faster than any pursuit could follow. And still, Earth did not strike again. Earth did not need to. The Titan Forge and the massive industrial networks hummed softly, producing, building, and preparing, ready for any threat that might return. The humans had shown that they did not need to kill to enforce their will. They did not need to destroy to be feared. The mere presence of their machines, the perfection of their industrial might, and the calm authority of their warning were enough. From the surface of Earth, engineers watched the fleets retreat. Children playing in the streets looked up at the sky, seeing the glow of drones and ships, unaware of the scale of what had just occurred, but feeling the quiet pride of their planet. Rafik, the old engineer, whispered as he watched the last alien ships disappear. "We warned them, and they listened." But no one on Earth celebrated. Humans understood that this was only a warning, not the end. They had defended themselves, yes, but the galaxy remained vast, full of species who would test them again. The Titan Forge adjusted its orbit, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Every factory increased output slightly, ensuring readiness. The drones and machines moved in silent precision, as if practicing for battles yet to come. Captain Mira looked out at the stars, calm and determined. "Let them go," she said. "We will always be ready. Let this be the last warning any empire ever needs to hear." And in the dark void of space, the message traveled far and wide. Humanity was awake, humanity was prepared, and humanity would never again be ignored. Every empire that had doubted Earth would carry the memory of this day forever. Every soldier, every admiral, every ruler would know that ignoring human industry was the greatest mistake the galaxy could ever make. The humans had not just defended themselves, they had declared to the galaxy that they would not be threatened, that they would not kneel, and that the power of Earth's factories was limitless when combined with human will. And so the last warning echoed across the stars, leaving silence behind, a silence that spoke louder than any weapon ever could. After the galaxy had fled and the last warning echoed across the stars, Earth returned to its quiet rhythm, though nothing was the same. Captain Mira Hale walked through Titan Factory 1, observing the hum of machinery that stretched farther than the eye could see. Every robot, every assembly line, every Atlas walker moved with precise purpose. Yet they were no longer just machines. They were extensions of human will, instruments of both creation and defense. Mira paused at a massive viewport, looking down at the planet below. The factories had not been built for war alone. They were proof of human ingenuity, human determination, and the relentless drive to survive and thrive. For centuries, humanity had quietly advanced, building systems, developing industrial might, and preparing for a universe that did not care. Every tower, every assembly line, every drone carried with it the potential to defend Earth, and every human on it. Tverik, observing from a distant station, recorded the ongoing activity with awe. He had seen the destruction humans could cause, but now he saw the truth. The factories were never about aggression. They were about survival, about mastery over creation, and about demonstrating to the galaxy that humans could never be ignored. Mira activated the central AI that coordinated every machine, every drone, every factory. Its voice, calm and omnipresent, spoke across the vast halls of Titan Factory 1. All systems operational. Production steady. Defense readiness maximum. Humanity protected. Engineers nodded. Children's laughter carried faintly from observation decks, and even the Atlas walkers moved with a rhythm almost like breathing. Humanity had learned patience and foresight. The galaxy had assumed humans would react impulsively, that they would lash out with rage when threatened. But the truth was more powerful. Humans had prepared, had built, and had waited. They had given the galaxy time to recognize its mistake, and then, when challenged, they acted with precision, restraint, and authority. Mira walked to a console displaying the reconstructed alien fleets, now lying scattered across safe zones outside human space. Each ship was intact but powerless, a living memory of what happened when the galaxy underestimated Earth. The Council, far away, began to question their centuries of arrogance. Reports came from historians, strategists, and spies who had fled human space. Earth had industrial power unmatched, adaptive technology that learned instantly, and humans who could combine will, logic, and creation in ways no species had ever seen. Mira smiled faintly. They thought it was just factories, she said. They never understood what we built them for. Beneath Titan Factory 1, in the deepest underground chambers, the central core pulsed with energy. It was the heart of Earth's industrial might, a fusion of human engineering, artificial intelligence, and materials stronger than any known to the galaxy. It guided production, monitored threats, and ensured that every ship, drone, and machine could be ready at a moment's notice. Yet it was not sentient in the human sense. It obeyed, learned, and acted as humans required, a perfect reflection of their will. Across Earth, smaller factories continued to expand, creating new designs, experimenting with improvements, and building defensive structures in orbit. Every machine that moved, every system that hummed, served a purpose beyond observation. It ensured survival, ensured dominance, and ensured that no empire would ever again underestimate humanity. Mira returned to the bridge of the Aurora as reports arrived. Small alien delegations had begun to approach Earth for negotiation, no longer with pride or aggression, but with fear, respect, and caution. Each message was met with careful assessment. Humans would not strike unless provoked, but they would not bow or compromise their security. The message of Earth's factories had reached the stars, and it was understood in every corner of the galaxy. Humans could build endlessly, adapt instantly, defend decisively, and never again be ignored. Tverik, the observer who had once doubted, now recorded every detail, sending transmissions to hidden allies across the galaxy. He whispered to himself, "This is beyond anything we imagined." They did not just survive, they transformed the galaxy's understanding of power. Mira looked once more at the planet below, at the endless rows of factories, the spinning orbital platforms, the drones moving in perfect harmony. The galaxy might still try to challenge humans someday, but they would learn that humanity's strength was not just in weapons, not just in numbers, but in creation itself. Factories, machines, and human will combine into a force the galaxy could never match, a force born from centuries of preparation, ingenuity, and patience. And so, Earth continued to build, silently, calmly, ever ready, a planet of endless industry and unwavering resolve. Mira whispered quietly as she watched the first sunrise pierce the metallic glow of Titan Factory 1. We built this to survive, and now, the galaxy finally knows who we are. The hum of machinery filled the air, a constant reminder that humans would always be ready, always vigilant, and always strong. And the truth behind Earth's factories was clear. They were not weapons of war. They were a declaration of humanity's enduring power, a promise that the galaxy would never again forget the strength of the human spirit.